Coach Garner here from hockeytraining.com, and in this video, I'm going to talk to you about why the brain is the most important component to hockey performance and how you can train it appropriately so that you can dominate out in the ice. Look, when it comes to training, everybody's so focused on the physical aspect, and that's natural, right? When you're training, you're moving your body a ton. When you're out in the ice, you're moving your body a ton. But the mind is what controls the body. It's not the other way around. So we need to place equal importance on mental performance, just like we do physical performance. Mental performance is absolutely key because that is what's going to determine whether or not you show up that day to the game, to your workout, to your practice, whatever it's going to be. The best example I can always think of is actually Olympic female gymnasts. When you look at Olympic female gymnasts and you're watching the Olympics, they're absolutely amazing. But structurally, they're all nearly identical. You've got a ton of women that are all quite short. They're all very light. They all have excellent strength. They all have unbelievable mobility and coordination and balance. These women are almost physically identical when you compare them solely on structure. So what's going to determine who wins that day? Who shows up here? You got a bunch of athletes nearly identical, but the one who's in the zone is going to be able to execute her routine to the highest level of her capability so that she comes home with the gold medal that day. That's an easy to conceptualize situation to identify what you need to be focusing on in hockey, because hockey's the exact same thing. You, as a person, you could play hockey Monday and Thursday. Between Monday and Thursday, physically, you're the same person. But you may have a way better game on Thursday than you did Monday. Why? Up here, we need to start placing a massive emphasis on mental performance, and nowhere is this more important than agility. Mental performance plays a huge role in agility, and I like to break it down as brain-based agility. When you're reviewing agility, I like to break it down into two big categories: rehearsed and reactive. For the purpose of this conversation, physical, mental. Rehearsed is the stuff that you see people do that doesn't involve any mental component because you're just simply doing a drill. It's a predictable drill. This could be a ladder drill. This could be weightlifting for agility purposes. This could be a T-test with no reactive component. It could be a sprint or a jumping variation. These are all fantastic moves for agility, but they are rehearsed. It's a predictable movement that you're simply getting better at and going through. Whereas reactive agility is what's really going to take your on-ice performance to the next level. Why? Because agility is reactive. Your offensive awareness, your defensive awareness, your ability to read the ice, your ability to predict where the puck is going, your ability to predict your opponent, your ability to predict what your own team is doing, these are all aspects that happen instantaneously. It's high processing data pattern recognition that's going to determine your reaction and therefore your change of direction and therefore your agility. So in order to have true agility, we need to react to something because hockey is anything but predictable. Hockey is anything but rehearsed. Rehearsed stuff is great to build the physical body that you need to be an athlete, but unless you marry that with mental performance, you're gonna need reactive training so that you can put your physical body to the best use. Agility isn't true agility unless there is a mental component to it, because you will never go through a predictable event out in the ice. Both need to be in high volume in your training program in order to say that you have a complete approach to agility for hockey-specific training. Furthermore, routine and ritual play a massive role in brain-based agility because let's use the example that you got called up to the AAA team and you made the AAA team for the first time in your life. This is absolutely amazing. But You have an entire new team to work with. You don't really know anybody. You have a new coach who you haven't really met yet. You don't know his systems. And let's say you're playing for a different city and not in your own home city anymore. These are a lot of new components that are really going to impact your ability to have a high level of hockey IQ. Because not only do you not know what your opponents are doing, you don't really know what your own team's natural patterns are either. So you're going to really have a catching up period to go through that first hockey season. But the next hockey season, let's say you made no physical progression whatsoever across the year. You're still gonna play way better your second season than you did your first season, simply because now you have routines and rituals in place. You understand your coach. You understand your team. You are familiar with and comfortable in the new city that you're playing with. All of these are going to massively impact the way our brain is wired for optimal athletic performance. And this is a couple of the reasons also why so many athletes play worse at away games than they do at home games. They don't have routines and rituals in place to match the flow state that they need for optimal performance. A flow state in sports psychology is a state of optimal stimulation. You want to not be too stimulated because that can result in panic, not having patience with the puck. It can result in too much nervousness and fear. But you also don't want to be understimulated because that results in apathy, laziness, no competitive drive to get into the corner. A flow state is right in that magic sweet spot of stimulation. That magic sweet spot is just enough stimulation for optimal performance, not too little, not too much. You're right there. This is what's known as in the hockey world as being in the zone. Or in sports psychology, this is your flow state. That's brain-based ability. That's having a routine and ritual in place to achieve that flow state. That is understanding true mental performance. These all play a huge role in the way your mind impacts how you're going to perform out on the ice. Furthermore, there's excellent and fascinating research in the world of brain-based agility in respect to offensive and defensive awareness. Our brains have two big hemispheres. I'm sure you've probably heard of the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere and the different characteristics that they have. Well, without getting too deep into neuroscience here, what has been seen in the literature is that offensive awareness has really only activating one aspect or one hemisphere of the brain, whereas defensive awareness tends to activate both hemispheres of the brain. It's theorized in research that offensive awareness or your offensive hockey IQ only impacts one hemisphere of the brain because you know exactly what you're going to do and you're going to take that direction in order to make it happen. Whereas defensive awareness, you need to be aware of your own body language while you're reading somebody else's. So you need to do two things at the same time rather than the offensive who already has his, could be a rehearsed move that he knows he's going to do. And defensive is lighting up both hemispheres. So when I'm taking a look at the most cutting edge sports science and I'm wanting to apply it to hockey players in the most advanced way possible, I break it down into three big categories: tactical, point-based, and reactive. Tactical drills for optimal hockey agility would include get up tag. So this is a drill where, and all of these drills, by the way, are on the YouTube channel, Hockey Training Exercise Demonstrations. Go check it out. Get up tag is simply where you have a partner, you're both laying on the ground, and then a buzzer goes off and you get up and you actually have to play tag with that person inside of, say, a 5x5 or a 10x10 box. This is great tactically speaking, because who's it is offensive and who's not it is defensive. So you're activating different areas of the brain. You're getting a more complete brain-based agility stimulus from your training. And then you take turns who's it each time, and you're both getting that balanced effect. Also, this is where situational ice drills come into play. So you're a skills coach on the ice, putting plays together for the offense and the defense and having you guys run through it, even scrimmages. All of these include both offensive and defensive hemisphere light up in the brain, as well as the physical component that comes with that as well. So your tactical based drills are key because we want to make sure we get a balanced effect on both hemispheres of the brain. Next, point-based drills are key. T-test, I absolutely love it because it can be used as a rehearsed drill. You can have someone just run through a T-test, and that's honestly one of my favorite rehearsed-based agility drills. But when it's point-based, you can actually impact offensive and defensive awareness. So if I am going to point, you run at me in a T-test, and I'm going to point in this direction, you have to react and then immediately move into that direction. That is someone who is going to be working on their defensive awareness. Whereas we could set up the drill differently to have an offset point. So if you run at me during a T-test and I point in this direction, you move in that direction, that would be offensive because you do not want to go where I am going. Got it? You want to incorporate points towards where you're going to go, and then you want to incorporate points to where you don't want to go if you want to get complete brain-based agility development. It's an excellent way to train reaction time, but then hyper-focus even further on hockey IQ development. I also like three-point cone drill for the same reasons. Three-point cone drill, you've got 3 cones, say 5 yards apart and 10 yards from you. The coach could point at a cone that you have to react to, or you could set up a component where I point to that cone, but you have to go to that one. I point to this one, you have to go to that one. You really want to mix it up to really get a complete effect. Those are a couple of my favorite drills in terms of point-based training. And then lastly, you've got your pure reactive training. So your calculation throw. I love the calculation throw because it exemplifies the difference between a reflex and a reaction. A reflex is automatic and danger-based. So if I'm doing this video, right? Let's say I leaned back and I touched a hot stove. My hand would come off the stove before I actually even knew what it was. That's a reflex. I touch a stove and then I let it go and then I realize what happened. Whereas a reaction is you reading, processing that data, and then executing based on your reaction to what you saw. So a reflex based on danger, it's automatic. You can't train it. Reaction based on visual data, you can absolutely train it. So with your reactive drills, the calculation throw, what that encompasses is somebody holding, say, 2 balls. We'll say this ball represents the number 8, and this ball represents the number 5. 3 plus 2. That was 5. So that person has to go, okay, that was 5, and they have to catch this ball. So the rule would be, okay, 8, 5, 3 plus 2. They have to catch it, boom, after only 1 bounce. They're allowed 1 bounce, and then they have to catch it. That is extreme, high-speed data processing. That's what reaction time is. That's what agility is. High-speed data processing so that you can make a correct decision instantaneously and react physically in response to that reaction, okay? Don't rely on reflexes. You can't train them. You want to rely on reaction, and this is a great way to speed up the process of your decision making and therefore speed up the process of your decision making when you're reading the ice. Next, you got your ball drop. A little bit more simple variation. No decision processing here, but still highly reactive in nature, where I would just be holding a ball, drop it. You have to react to the drop and then pick it up before the first bounce happens. And then as you get more explosive and your reaction time gets faster and faster and faster, I just move away. You stay there, but now we're further apart. I drop it, further away. That's how you apply progressive overload to that drill. Also, at the absolute height of hockey-specific training and specific physical preparedness, we have our drills on Hockey Training TV. which is our app. You can find it on Android. You can find it in the App Store for iPhone. It doesn't matter. You will be able to find it. We have reactive-based drills for stick handling. So you would essentially be stick handling and reacting to certain components while you're doing that. So you are training the brain for high performance while doing the most hockey-specific thing possible, which is stick handling. So we make sure that in order to make sure you are getting optimal agility training stimulus doing the programs here at hockeytraining.com, we have tactical, point-based, and reactive drills within our programming. Some of these require a partner, some of them don't. When you're training the brain, it's difficult to get that reactive component out of it unless you have a partner, unless you're using the Hockey Training TV app where we take care of that for you. Do I incorporate rehearsed training? Of course I do. But what's this video about? Brain-based agility. So rehearsed training doesn't involve the brain, but that is something I absolutely still program in the form of resistance training, as well as in the speed, agility, and conditioning training here at hockeytraining.com. All right? So if you're struggling with your agility, you're struggling with your hockey IQ, start taking some of these drills and incorporating them into your program design in the correct slots so that you can get the exact result that you want, mentally and physically. All right? Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you smash the thumbs up button so I know to keep making more videos like this. Subscribe to the brand new Hockey Science Unleashed channel, and always let me know in the comments section below if you've got any new video ideas for me. Let's go.